What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mindset Mogul podcast. We are your hosts, Josh Jacobs and Bradley Mora, and we are back with a Q&A today. How are you doing, Brad?
I am doing fantastic. It's finally a sunny day in San Francisco. It's been June gloom, and so walking up the hill this morning, sun shining, is bright. Very grateful for this morning's sunlight.
Man, I'm grateful for the sun here too. It's been like we've gotten this smoke from Canada or something. I don't know where it's from, but the city's been so smoky for like 3-4 days now. And they said walking outside and being outside for a day is like smoking a pack of cigarettes. The air quality in Chicago was the worst air quality in the world the last 2 days, which is crazy to think about. Yeah.
That's wild.
So wild. So I'm grateful that it's clearing up, and felt good to be out on the lakefront this morning. And yeah, man, we got a Q&A today. I just want to say, if you guys get any value out of these episodes, please, we would really appreciate it if you guys left us a review, 5 stars, please. Subscribe on YouTube, leave us a comment with your question, or email that question to support@mindsetmogul.com, and we would love to answer it for you. Today, we have a question from Katie. And it says, I'm working on growing my service-based business and getting bad feedback from customers. How do you guys handle this situation in your own business? Katie, thank you so much for your question. We really, really appreciate it. I think there's a lot of different ways that we can process this question. Obviously, we don't know exactly what your business is. We don't know exactly what the bad feedback is, but I think we can give some frameworks around just how we deal in our own individual businesses with, negative feedback from customers or clients or whatever that may be. So, Brad, why don't you get us started off? What do you think about this?
Yeah, we've dealt with this as well in the past, and it's always a growing pain that comes when your business is growing. You figure in the early days, and it's especially in a service-based business, if you're the one delivering the service early on, it's really easy to control the quality. It's really easy to be one-on-one with customers to understand their pain, how to solve it, what they care about, and then also just get more real-time feedback so that if there is a problem, you're solving it quickly. It's oftentimes in these types of businesses that as you scale, and you're not the one delivering the service anymore, you're not as close to the customer, that it's difficult operationally to keep that level of service and to make sure that people feel as strongly in a positive way about your business as they did when you were doing the service or when you were closer to the ground floor of what was going on. And so I think from a framework perspective, I think this is a skill that actually doesn't matter if it's business, it doesn't matter if it's your relationship, but this is a time to learn to build the skill of empathy in the deepest way you can. And so you got to figure that feedback is a function of bad feedback, is a function of you not solving your customer's problem in the best way that you can be. And so I think the first step in solving that problem is first you need to understand what their pain is. You need to deeply understand what their problem is. And only then can you be in a position to start understanding how to solve it correctly. And so making sure you go through the process. I think if I were you right now, Katie, I would stop and try and go and talk to as many customers who are giving the bad feedback as possible and walk through them with not just where your service fell short, but make sure you're understanding what their problem is at the deepest level. And so it really depends on the type of service business and how complicated it is and how complex. But, if it's a cleaning business, you probably can get to the answer quite simply. It's like, are you doing things fast enough? Is the quality high enough? But you're only going to suss those things out in deep conversations with the customer and understanding where they're coming from. Whereas if it's something more complex where you're doing a B2B service and you're helping someone else with their business, I think this gets even more important because there's more nuance in how you're solving people's problems. And so first things first, the customers that are getting bad feedback, don't just hear that, go listen to it from the customer, understand their problem, figure out where your gap is. And then it's a function of going to operationalize, how can I increase the quality of my business? Because this will be your biggest bottleneck as you try to scale, because every time a customer leaves and they're not an evangelist They're not out there saying good things about your business. It's a quiet, slow death for your company. You can't see it because it's all happening, out in the marketplace. But if people aren't out there promoting your product, saying the right things, this is how businesses go to die, and you can't really even see it coming. And so definitely stop now, go figure out where the bad feedback is coming from, how to address it from the most empathetic point of view you can. And then once you figure out where the gap is, even if you have to grow slower, get the feedback fixed now and how you can operationalize that before you try to grow more.
Yeah, you just made me think of an actual incident in my own business where I've done this and basically gotten emails from customers who have had a similar problem. So just for a little bit of context, my business is education university matching platform. So basically somebody's looking to go to college and we help them find the school that's right for them. And there was, a scenario where there's people not getting the results that they want, not finding the schools that they want. And it was multiple people in a row. And that makes me think instantly, okay, well then this is obviously a common problem amongst multiple people. It's not a bunch of different negative feedback. It's the same negative feedback. And obviously if I'm thinking what's the number one reason somebody comes to us, it's to find a school and get the resources and help they need to go to that school that makes sense for them. So if that's the number one problem, then I'm looking at how to fix that number one problem. And I'm going to go talk to them and figure out, well, where did this go wrong? And honestly, I would say that would be the best thing, is to actually talk to, I'm not sure if you said this, Brad, but to actually talk, not just listen, ask them questions. Try to learn as much as you can out of your customers as possible, because they're the ones that are going to teach you, where things are going wrong. So yeah, I would definitely say reach out and actually have a conversation with them. I think your customers can teach you a lot.
I think even building on, you don't have to wait to get bad feedback to build this muscle into your business of listening to the customer, because what it will do for you is over time, the more you talk with customers, understand their problems, you will gain a competitive advantage in knowing what is the best possible service offering that you can provide to them. And the only way to know that is to hear from as many customers as possible in the deepest way possible. And so we're experiencing that in our business now. We run essentially an agency that helps build out the sales and marketing programs for early stage startups. And we focus on a specific part of that. But in listening to our customers, we're finding that there are more problems that are going unsolved that impact the ability for us to deliver value, because those things need to get solved first. And so with that, it's actually changing the course of our business in terms of us building out a larger service offering that solves more of their problems, that I think is going to have us better positioned in the marketplace to solve these people's problems, which at the end of the day, that's the real key to unlocking growth, is drive as much value as you can for your customer, become invaluable, and be partners for life if you're working in a B2B business. And so this customer listening thing is something that we're actually putting to use today. And it didn't necessarily start because of bad feedback. It just started as like something that we started doing. And out of it is coming this need. We realize there's a need that's not being met that could make us 10 times more valuable than we are today.
So question for you, Brad. So when you say that you're starting this, listening to customers, I'm just curious for me and for Katie, like, what is the actual, are you calling customers? Are you have some sort of, what is the process for actually, talking to them and getting this feedback from them?
We actually, we do it in 3 ways. So one of them is I will set up time with the, whoever our point of contact is. Sometimes it's the CEO, sometimes it's a VP of sales, sometimes it's a VP of marketing, but whoever's like the highest level person that usually owns our contract in the business. And I'll do quarterly check-ins with them, and I'll ask for feedback on how we're doing, like what's good, what's bad, and then also just plug what's going well and what's going bad in their business overall. And so that's an opportunity to gather, one, specifically how we're performing, but then also like peek into the bigger picture of what is keeping them up at night, even if it's outside the purview of what we're doing. The second one is listening to, we have consultants, like our consultants calls with our clients, but listening to those calls from the lens of, am I hearing if there are any other problems that are going on other than just the ones that we're trying to solve for them? So it's like the conversations that are not about it, but you'll find oftentimes that those problems bubble up in other ways in conversations while we're trying to help them solve problems. And then the third one is we actually have like a service that does customer interviews. This one's actually the least helpful because it's like more for marketing materials, but you'll find we hear what people care about the most in like formal interviews done, that it's really for us, again, to use for marketing material in the future. But like you hear to get someone on camera for 30 minutes talking about working with your business, it unlocks the opportunity to hear from them about what they care about. And so I think the overarching theme here is like, be proactive, go get involved with your customer, I think it's the equivalent of being like the involved restaurant owner going around shaking hands at tables. Like, go be that guy or girl who's working the restaurant, and you go through enough of those conversations and you start to hear what the truth is.
So I'm going to ask you another question. And by the way, if any of this gets too, in depth or granular or whatever, you don't want to answer, don't have to answer. But I feel like you're spitting fire right now, and it's definitely going to help anybody who has a service-based business. So, when you conduct these calls or you get this feedback, are you personalizing these things to each client, or are you using the feedback from each client to improve your services across all of your clients? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The goal is to figure out what the scaled solution is. And so if you took a step back and said, what needs to be true for your business to be successful? It's one, are you solving a problem for, first things first, are you solving a problem for somebody? And like, are you actually solving a problem? Because there's a lot of, at least in the world of technology startups, a lot of the issues that companies face in the first place is that they're not actually solving a problem. We're a service-based business, so it's a little bit different. Like, most service-based businesses are solving an identified problem. Otherwise, they really won't last very long because you've hired a bunch of people to go do the work. But let's pull up from that. So you have a problem you're solving. Yes, check that box. Second thing is it a problem that a lot of people have? And so coming out of those conversations, there are always specific nuanced things that are at the client level that we may or may not be able to solve. In a lot of cases, the nuanced things about somebody's business, and again, honestly, it kind of comes back to like, do they have a product problem? Do they have I'll just leave it at that. Like, issues that we can't really solve for that are company specific. Those are good to know, but we also have to work within the realm of like, what can we solve for them at scale? And so, yeah, coming out of all these conversations, I'm looking for common threads of what people's biggest problems are. And you have a good business when those threads exist, because then that means you're in a position to solve a problem that a lot of people have. And so that's where things have gotten interesting recently, is we're seeing the same problem over and over again. And then even better, it's a problem that can be solved in the same way with a system, with a product. We don't necessarily have to customize the solution for everybody. And so it can happen both ways, where people have a lot of like specific problems versus problems that other people have, but you always want to be listening for the problems that other people have so you can go solve problems at scale. And so that's where the real magic starts to happen.
Awesome. This was a great deep dive into, you just spit off so many facts and suggestions in such a short period of time. That was awesome. I mean, I honestly don't even have anything to add, but I think I learned a lot from you this episode. I kind of leaned into just listening to you and learning. So thank you. That was really cool.
I'm learning every day. So it's a fun exercise. Once you start to like build relationships with your customers, and sometimes it's not easy because we don't always get great feedback. Most of the time we do, but when, on the times that you don't, like you end up in tough conversations, but it's part of the game, and that's actually where you learn the most. And the best changes in our business have come out of having the tough conversations with clients about what really went wrong. And so that
I would say that should be the biggest takeaway, Katie, is lean into this as what Brad just said, that the best parts of his business have come from those tough conversations and learning from that feedback. So I would say this is an opportunity to just, grow your business even bigger, make it better, improve it in all these ways. And I would look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah. If you think about everything on a 5-year timeline instead of like a 6-month timeline, like sure, you may have problems today, and that bad customer feedback might impact you for the next 6 months. But if you can go out and fix it today and then run a business where all those problems are fixed, then on a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year timeline, like you will win. And so really right now, everything's within your control, and it's just about not shying away from the tough part of hearing the feedback, having the tough conversation. But if you get those things done now, you'll be unstoppable.
I love it. Well, thank you for the course today, Brad. Do we have an audience exercise for Katie? Do you want to give her
I
something?
think this one, and I think this can apply to everybody, and when I say everybody, I mean, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's you talking with a customer, the concept of training yourself for empathy. You want to, for this audience exercise, who's ever on the other side of the table for you, whoever you need to understand better. And so in this case, it's a customer. Spend 3 minutes thinking about, like, what does that person's day look like working in their business, or whatever the context of your service is. Imagine, put yourself in their shoes and literally walk through an afternoon of like what you think their day looks like and where are their biggest problems and how that actually looks. But go through the exercise of visualizing what it would be like to be the other person doing their job, understand their work, and then where their problems are coming from. And I think in that moment of empathy, you can start to understand. You'll probably see ahead of why you're getting the bad feedback. You're like, okay, we're doing things too slow, or we're not exactly addressing their problem, or our communication wasn't quite there. And can you imagine that person at their computer waiting to hear back, and they can't move forward on their business? So sorry, that got into the weeds a little bit, but go imagine and literally put yourself in that person's shoes to develop the skill of empathy.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much. Katie, I hope you got something out of this, and everybody else listening, I hope you did. If you want your question answered, you can comment on the YouTube video, or you can email it into support@mindsetmogul.com. If you are listening on Apple, Spotify, Google, please leave us a 5-star review and give us a follow. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe and give us a like and a comment. We would really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care.
Take care.